everything that you want. A short agenda. I will start the presentation with the team presentation, and I will talk about Earthworm. Most of you know about Earthworm, but I will focus a couple of slides and then talk about challenges around charcoal and talk about our program we work on for many years now. Then I will give the mic to Camille, that she will talk about EUDR and market data. Then to finalize, I will talk again and explain a bit about our back analysis, and I will have the conclusion just before the question you may have. If you have any question, you can ask them at the end of this presentation, or either you can put them on the chat. I will try to answer them at the end. So first of all, the team, you may see there that the team is becoming bigger and bigger. We are not all full-time, of course, but I'm happy to share with you these guys, starting by me as the EU charcoal lead for the Earthworm organization. And then Camille, that she will talk just later, caring about the members in the French market. You know Lucas, our consultant in Germany, one of the oldest one working at Earthworm regarding the charcoal issue, and its colleague Robin, our project and oldest guy, knowing a lot about charcoal. We are happy to discuss with anytime we need him. And then the newcomer are Natalia. Natalia, I introduced you to you last year. She's our member manager for Spain, and she is doing a wonderful work. You may know Desiree, our social expert for all questions all over Africa. We all need him each time we have difficult questions to work on. And I'm very happy to present to you the two newcomers. The first one is Sabine. Sabine is our new consultant in Namibia. As you will see, that Namibia is a key market for imports, and we work hard to have her in our team. We promised that last year, and we achieved it. And the last but not the least, our intern, Adrien, is an expert on forestry, and it helped us a lot to start a new reflection regarding the EU forest. Of course, you are part of the team. We need you to do this work, and as you will see that you are a lot to help us, and we really like that. Just a short introduction about what Earthworm is doing all over the world for charcoal, but for many commodities. The supply chains deliver billions of consumer goods, and this has a huge impact on environmental and social questions. That's why we believe that working there at the beginning, all over the supply chain is key for workers, smallholders, and environmental challenges. To do so, we work on policy with the members to organize the reflection and the future action, to start the way of transformation on the place, and to support transparency and traceability. Sometimes we also may communicate with the partners and for the partner about the journey. Slide. Of course, on the EU market, we mainly consume and buy goods from all over the world. That's why Earthworm, the offices of Earthworm are not all in the EU, but most of our teams are where the produce come from, where the trees growing and the soil is cultivated. That's why most of our team is still now in South America, Africa, and Indonesia, East Asia. The process of work for Earthworm is VTTV. The fact is that we first need to align on value. What do you want to achieve? What do we need to achieve regarding the social and environmental question? So we will work with our members to define this strategy, this alignment, and do some buying charter or either policy to be sure we are going on the same direction. then any work will work on transparency, because we need to see what is going on over there. We mainly know the suppliers of our own supply chain, but we know our own supplier. But what is beyond, what is before our supplier, and we need to go there. And we hope we go there together with the partner. After that, we'll be able to start a transformation journey. It won't be done in just 1 or 2 days. We are talking about years and years. We are working on charcoal for the last 12 years to show you how important to have a global direction for many years. Of course, finally, the question is about verification, because after doing a transformation plan, we need to be sure that it's continue, that the work you have achieved with us will be continuing in the coming year. We can here talk about grievance mechanism or either satellite monitoring. To give you a couple of figures in KPIs, we are working with 35,000 farmers all over the world, meaning 200,000 community members. And also, part of that indigenous communities we are happy to work with. It's about 7 million of hectares. And as I said just before, to continue the monitoring, we can help and work with satellite monitoring for palm oil, and we're doing for most of the palm oil in the world, and we're also doing for pulp and paper in the major places. And with you and others, we are almost 200 companies and partners working in this big journey. For you to know that we focus mainly on the ground and what is come from the ground. So we are working on biomass, we are working on coconut, hazelnut, wood, sugar, and a bit, but this is not our major goals, on seafood and some kind of stones. Let's focus now about the charcoal issue and challenges. Oh. We all work on barbecue mainly in this webinar, but the reality of the charcoal, because charcoal is first biomass that is pyrolyzed and carbonized to sequester carbon. So this is not just charcoal for barbecue. We are talking about one of the major issues of the world, this ability to sequester something from the wood and the biomass on carbon and to keep it in one place. That's why in the world, the charcoal comes from cooking and eating, where families use it every day just to eat, to the steel industry or the silicon industry. This is a major issue. We are at the beginning of the biggest change, and we are displaced to solve this question. The EU market, you guys, as a charcoal producer or trader, you will be in contact with the major industry in the world using charcoal instead of coal. What do we want to achieve together to be sure that this is better and not just CO2 captation, but with a huge and very difficult impact on the forest and the biomass? Let's go back to the question of charcoal for barbecue and eat, and see where the charcoal is coming from. This has not changed so much for the last 5 years, but you see that the major producer is Africa. And part of it, a small part of it, will be sent to the European market. Then you see the South Africa and the Asian Oceanian region producing also charcoal. But this charcoal start to come to Europe, but still are not the biggest one. But you see that a few countries becoming bigger and bigger. On the next slide, I'd like to show you that, of course, when you open a bag, it looks like similar. One bag or another one looks that be the same, but this is not the same. This is not the same wood. This is not the same process. To illustrate that, I just wanted to show you that from the left, the traditional Earthworm kilns, to the right, the pyrolysis reactor. The process of production, the same wood, biomass, or any kind of wood, would use another technology. The impact is not the same regarding CO2. The impact is not the same regarding the quality of the process, the wood used, the quantity of wood used to produce 1 kilogram of charcoal, the question of traceability, the question of cogeneration of electricity, the heat is used to dry the wood. So behind each bag, it illustrates you that the situation at the beginning of your supply chain is not the same. Yeah, slides if you want to. Continue to talk at the difference. We produce charcoal, as I saw you, in the south. And looking at this country corruption index, sometimes, but not often, our charcoal will come or used to come, is going to come from country where the corruption index, so the social condition, the traceability cannot be proof. So you will have and we will have to work harder to be sure that this charcoal is okay and sustainable enough to enter or to be consumed in our barbecue on Sunday. Because I just want to remind you guys that looking at our charcoal industry, the challenges over the supply chain could be these ones. From one bag to the other one, 1 kilogram of charcoal, the quantity of wood we will need to consume can go from 4 kilograms to 12 kilograms, depending on the process, depending on the region, depending on the wood's origin. And then, of course, the emission of greenhouse gases will be a lot different if a producing company will keep it and use it to dry the wood, or you will just put it on the atmosphere. The impact on emission won't be the same at all. I don't have to say it again, but deforestation and degradation is a key subject. We are using biomass. Sometimes it will be from bush, sometimes it will be from from wastage, sometimes it will be from forest. This has to be checked every time you will buy or use wood in your process. Once again, social question for charcoal is quite important. We saw and we see in few countries that we are talking about forced labors. The women's rights are not okay at all. We are talking about land tenure conflict, and we're missing, and we have big questions regarding the health and the safety of the worker. And yes, charcoal could be the worst one sometimes and the best one also regarding the economical question with unfair payment and lack of legal regulation in countries. With you, and for years now, we have been working on that with Earthworm. So I want to highlight you what we have done so far and what we are going to work on the coming years. So slide please. To remind you about the key change and challenges we have faced and the tools we are using to achieve that, we are grateful to our 15 members and partners who work with us every year to achieve the question here. And like that, we assess and check more than 200 production plants over 14 countries in the world. That's why we believe that we have a global good understanding of the situation. And we use, and we'll go back then, open the bag to see what is inside and what is what all over the bag. We do it for France, for Germany, for Poland, for Belgium, for Spain, and for the Scandinavian market. So this is quite good to understand the situation. In 2019, we launched a charcoal transparency website where anyone is able to see what is behind a bag regarding sustainable questions. We opened a charcoal transparency survey to be sure that any brands can communicate with us about its transparency. And for 2024, we will focus on EUDR because you all ask this, and it's a good tool for us to progress. We will talk about EU because each market, all the markets and the countries are not equally sustainable regarding this question. And we will talk a bit about the EU forest because we need to work on that for the coming decades. Because you are here and you pay us and we work together, I wanted to put you in the loop and I will highlight on you. You are the partner, you work with us and you trust in our process. to achieve transparency on the charcoal level. So thanks for being here and thanks for being our partners. And also because we work with you often, I just highlight here the NGO we are working on. So thanks for being here and thanks for answering our question when we have questions about your markets and your approach. 3 slides now about the key changes we are working on for next years. We are working to be, again, the EU referential for charcoal industry, because the French and the German market are quite okay regarding the consumption. But if I do look at the other country, we are not that famous, and a few questions are not raised at all in retailers or in the production industry. So we need to be the most well-known website and process all over the world, all over Europe, and to be sure that the question on environmental question and social issues are in. So the goal for the 2 next year would be and is to do an update of the website, communication and the templates, to start a one-to-one communication with all bag producers and retailers of our 2024 bag analysis. And then we'll start general communication, B2B oriented, with LinkedIn, AdWords, and mails. We want to be the referential. We want to be sure that anyone can go there and to be sure about what is it about. But we want to do it easier because we know that sometimes we are not clear enough and we want to be more transparent about the notation. But for the next year, the most important would be also to be a resource. We don't want to give just grades. We want to be a resource and a support for all. So if tomorrow you have questions about your charcoal or your sustainability regarding this supply chain, I want you to find the answer in our website. Hopefully, because I believe we will have a big issue next year regarding the EU and a big bag analysis. We want to have the biggest database for charcoal in the EU in the coming years. This is the goal. Second objective, among many objectives we have, we are starting a good work, a good reflection internally with our stakeholders either about this continuous cover forestry approach. We believe in this nature-friendly and sustainable woodland management approach to be more natural, to be more resilient, to think about regenerative without break in the supply chain approach. So right now we do have internal discussion with our colleagues internally, but with the stakeholders too. And we do meeting. We had one 2 days ago with our downstream and all actors in the charcoal European production process. And for that, we also work with ProSilva. ProSilva is an association, EU association expert on forestry, and this approach of silviculture. And we believe we can work and will continue to present this approach to you. Hopefully, we'll be able to make it grow in the coming year in the charcoal industry and in the wood industry broadly. As I told you before, and just before giving back the mic to Camille, we are thinking about a lot of countries in Europe. So we will change the CTI to be, again, more and more easy to process at the EU level. We'll have a big analysis, hopefully next year with the bags. And we start a new approach of contacting the retailers. We decided, and we did a test last year in Scandinavia about to contact the retailers and to buyers in the retail and the CSR department about their strategy of charcoal. This is not something we will put in the local newspaper. It's just to understand what is the situation for them about the question of social responsibility, origin of the product, the label and the declaration of information, and their own understanding of the EUDR. We did that last year. It was quite good. We have a good connection with the retailer, and we were able to start communicate with them a few times. What I want to share with this new, very small survey we did last year, that in September 2023, most of the people from Scandinavian retailers knew about the new regulations coming. This is quite good because in any other country, it was not that case. I was very surprised in the country in the south of Europe that the EUDR was not known at all. And the second point I wanted to show you is about this question of, will you change your purchase strategy regarding EUDR? And for half of this company, they decided that they will change the strategy. Will they change about the suppliers they buy from? Is still the question I have to answer, but I don't have this question. But yes, something will change, switch will appear, and we will talk about that just after with Camille. Thanks for that. Just for you to know that we will continue to open this talk with the retailers, and we already started a new survey. And now we will focus this survey still on the Scandinavian countries, but we will also talk with the German retailer and the Polish ones. Thanks for this short introduction. I'll give the mic to Camille to talk about EUDR.
Thank you, Johan. Hey, hello, everyone. So happy to be here today to talk about EUDR. If you have seen me the past months, you know that it's like a hot topic at EF. Just a quick sum up of the regulation. The goal of today is really not to go into details on that, just to remind the last news we have from the European Commission, and also the way we see things and impacts of the regulation at Earthworm. So just to remind you that the EUDR, the goal of the regulation is to minimize the EU contribution to deforestation and forest degradation, and the final goal is to work on forest, but not only on carbon emission as well, and global biodiversity loss. So the calendar of the regulation is the next one. The text had been released last year in June, so 1 year ago, and the obligation will start by December 2024. So we have still 6 months to be prepared. And so December 2024 for biggest companies and groups, and in June 2025 for smallest companies. And they have already announced next action plan for next year's. Quick reminder of what their regulation asks. So it asks that all the products that you will place on the market follow these three stages of due diligence. So the products need to, you will need to declare a lot of information, to collect and declare the information, and to go through a risk analysis to be able to ensure that it's deforestation free and legal, and finally risk mitigation. So the new things, but you already know about that, is that all the products you place on the market will need to have the geolocation declared, either just geolocation points, but if needed, polygons as well. And you need to be able to prove that your product is deforestation free and it's legal in terms of the country of origin. You need, as a company, to take the responsibility on your shoulders, and you need to produce, to conduct risk analysis and risk mitigation in case you find any risk in your supply chains. Of course, Earthworm is here also to help on that. So let's work on these steps all together if needed. Small reminder on the control systems. Maybe you have heard of EUTR before, so the timber regulation that was published in 11 years ago in 2013, with no really big control system or sanctions. So now this new regulation wants to put in place control and sanction to ensure that the regulation will have a an effect and an impact. So small reminder on the figures, 3% of standard risk countries will be controlled. So it means that the competent authorities will conduct controls on the product you will place on the market to ensure that you have make all the steps and your products are deforestation free and legal. And regarding the sanction, only one person to share with you is 4% of your turnover can be fined. So it's not it's not nothing. It can be a lot. So it's also a way to remind that the European Commission really want to have a better impact on EU deforestation around the world. Regarding now the progressed steps, European Commission are still in charge normally to carrying classification of the countries. So they should come up with a country risk. So low risk countries, medium risk countries, or high risk countries. At the moment, it had been it's on standby because of political reason and because countries are pushing and pushing and pushing for not having this matrix published at the moment. So let's see how it will be during the coming months. We have good news and good information regarding the system of information. You have a screenshot here, but just to remind you that before putting your product on the market, you will need to declare that information on the system. I will go back to that in a minute to show you what interesting news we have from the European Commission published last week. So it's quite hot news. And last but not least, regarding EUFO, so it's a forest observatory. It had been published by the European Commission, so it's like official and public data. You can all access. It's free, online, easy to access. It will help you maybe better understand the state of forest around the world. So system of information, really important for you because you will have to declare everything on that if you are operator. So if you produce or place or import or export a product inside or outside EU. So it might concern a lot of you. So they have just released last week a proposed calendar of the next month. So the last day, the launch of the information system will be at the end of December, but before they will help us to be ready on that. So they will share, beginning of starting in this summer in July, they will share presentation videos for you to be able to understand the system, and then they will conduct trainings and share instruction to help us better understand how to work on this system. And we will be able to register, so you will be able to create your account and so on in November. Also, a really good news we have is that through API, you will be able to link your data, your own data, to the system. And finally, they also provide good guidelines on how to declare the geolocation point, what will be the reference system to use. If we take a step back at, we wanted to share to you at EF, at Earthworm, what we seen, what we are waiting for as impact and challenging from this regulation. So first for us is great way to ask for more traceability and more transparency on the market, because you will need to share the geolocation point. So you will need to at least know where your commodities are coming from, which is for us the really first step to engage impact then. Of course, it can be costly to achieve this level of traceability and compliance, including monitoring, because you will need to prove deforestation free, so it can be linked also to satellite monitoring, for instance, but not only. And it will we might see a segregation of supply chain with not only positive impact, because it can also mean that small producers that are not able to comply with regulation, or not at least able to show you and to prove with evidences, might be excluded. This is something that we are not pushing through at EF, of course. We think that maybe EU will supply some countries with less risk, so that can be a positive impact, but we need not to forget what is going through in all other countries around the world. As I was talking about cost just before, we might see an increase in prices for we might see an increase of budget for being compliant, but reduction in budget for having impact on the ground. So hopefully you will still involve on the ground as well, on the field as well, to have a really good, better achievement and better impacts. And also for us, of course, idea of having like clean supplies for EU, but what will happen for all the other supply chains that will go to other continents and other countries, for us is also something we need to keep in mind, because we are not only working for EU at EF, and deforestation need to be fight not only for EU. So we want to remind that it's really, really important to still work at a global level and not only for EU. Something I would like to share with you as well before going to the next topics we have to work on today is that the Commission's was supposed to publish and to declare the level of risk by country, but because of the push from many countries at the moment, the standard risk will be developed for all countries. At the moment at EF, we don't really know what will be for next month, next year. We don't know if the level of risk will be published at the end, so we just need to keep an eye open on that. Also, we know that 20 EU states, including France, have asked the European Commission to maybe suspend the EUDR or to postpone the EUDR. Our position for us at EF is that at the moment we don't really know about what will happen with EUDR at the end of December. We hope that will be that the obligation will start, because we really think that the regulation at least will push for traceability and transparency, which is the first step to have great impact. Just one last word on EUDR before moving to the next topic of today. We just want to remind you that we are working, well, not only on charcoal, but today we focus on charcoal, of course. We can help on data collection, of course. We can help on risk assessment. We are doing this work with many of you since years and years and years. So please, let's be in contact on that. We can really sustain an approach. And we are also, as you know, working on risk mitigations. We try to have the better impact we can on the field with you. So do not hesitate to reach out at the end of the webinar today. We have started like EUDR field visits with long time members. So now when we go on field to have a field visit, we try to develop a EUDR approach, first to help you to be in compliance, of course, but also to help you to sustain this approach of traceability, transparency on the ground. So now let's move on to charcoal market data. So it's a big topic of today. I will try my best to be as clear as I can. Of course, we will share the presentation with you with all the figures. So I will try to give you a good overview and to give you the main message we need to keep in mind. So we'll first start with the European global overview, and then we will go to the main countries that export charcoal to the European market, because the goal is to really understand what is happening at the European level. So first here you have the presentation of imports, production and consumption at the European level. So we can see that the charcoal imports in red have decreased since 2018. So 2018 was really the peak of the imports, and between 2018 and today, so we have a decrease of about 150,000 tons of charcoal. What is really interesting to keep in mind is that we have still the same ratio between 70% of import and 30% of production. So let's go deeper on these figures regarding the consumption this time. So for us, consumption is and trade. So it means when we talk, about charcoal trade volumes, it's imports plus production less exports. So it's not really what is consumed in the country by the citizens, but it's more about seeing what is going from the borders inside and outside. So as we can see here, the three main countries that have big trade volume are Poland first, then Germany and France. For us, what is quite new is that Poland is the first for the first time is Poland the first one. We are used to have Germany as a dominating countries with high imports, low export and low production. So this year in 2023 is the first time that Poland overtook Germany. We can explain that because the Polish production is increasing and the export are decreasing. So more charcoal is staying in the Poland country. We can say that Polish market is more mature at the moment, and the Bagalani analysis we have done this year confirms that as well. We have seen more temperate wood than tropical and subtropical wood in the bags. Regarding the imports now, so the question here is where the charcoal that we find in EU is coming from. So mainly from Ukraine with 19%, and then directly Namibia. So it's the two more important countries that are importing to Europe. It represents 36% of all charcoal import, so it's a lot, and it's around 100,000 tons each. We have the big news here with Cuba. We will talk a bit more on that later, but Cuba makes up around 80%, so it's 4% more than 2022, and with big volume because it's also about 100,000 tons. And with Nigeria, so 11%, and it's coming back. We will explain a bit more about that later, but it's coming back with more than with an increase of 3% compared to 2022. If we can see on the right here, what is really interesting is to see, so in gray you have 2021, 2022 figures, and in red, 22, 2023 figures. So what we can see is that we have minus a decrease from in Ukrainian and Namibian imports, as well as Indonesia and Paraguay. And we can see directly that it's coming from Cuba and Nigeria. So it's really a new trend this year. So it's why also we will take time today to talk a bit more on that. So last line on European trends to understand everything before going into deeper level for specific countries. So here you can see the import from 2013 to 2023. So the 10 last years of imports. So the story is Ukraine and Namibia are really the two major countries that export their charcoal to European markets. We have, because of the war, a decrease on the Ukrainian charcoal in the EU, but still big volume because it's more than 100,000 tons. Namibia, a big evolution, increasing since 2013. Volume are going up and up and up, just a small decreasing from last year, but nothing specific to say on that. And what is interesting to see now is Cuba. It's coming really big volume, plus 30% from last year, as well as Nigeria with an increasing of the volume from last year, even though we have seen a decrease between 2019 and 2021. Won't go further on the other countries because we won't have time to go deeper for everything, but I really want to highlight that Ukrainian, Namibian, Cuba, and Nigeria are countries that export a lot to EU at the moment. Great, so let's move on to have a deeper analysis. So we go through Ukraine, Namibia, Spain, and Nigeria countries. So what to say on Ukraine and what are the key messages to keep in mind for you? At the Ukrainian level, what we have to understand is that we have still a high risk of illegal logging. So we need, of course, to ask for traceability and transparency, and this will be sustained with EUDR coming into force as well, of course. Unfortunately, because of the conflict at the moment, Earthworm is not going on field, but we have good links with a local NGO, Forest Camp, that help us to work on that supply chain, because it's key to still continue local field work and as well transparency and traceability monitoring. So if we go on the figures for Ukraine, so we have seen in 2016, to remind you, a big change regarding the production and export level. It was because of the market change, so the market was willing to have more control charcoal entering the market, so less tropical charcoal and more tempered charcoal. And what we can see between 2021 and 2022, really important drop down in the figures because of the, of course, conflict coming into force. Also, something interesting is that Ukraine is sending its charcoal through mainly Poland and Romania and a bit from France. So if we want to have a small conclusion on Ukraine, it's still big volumes entering EU through Poland, Romania, and France, and we need to have and to ask transparency, of course, because it's tempered wood, so we can we need to have the view on that and not to be able to trace the tempered wood from Ukraine. And we need to ask for transparency and traceability, because in Ukraine, forest is still under pressure of illegal logging and of course because of the conflict. Now we can move on to the next country we want to focus on today, which is Poland, because Poland is also a key market at the EU level. For this country at the moment, for social and environmental risk are quite under control. We just wanted to share with you news about the country regarding FSC, PFC. At the moment, FSC is going through variation on the forest. 2 million hectares are not certified of FSC anymore. We are not really sure about the trend for next months and next year. We are still waiting because FSC, PFC, and the Polish government are under discussion and negotiation. We need to keep an eye open on that, of course. If we go to the figures for Poland, what is really interesting is to see that exports are going down. So as I said in introduction, Poland now is the biggest country in terms of consumption of trades. Imports are going down, exports are going down, and production is going up since 2018, 2019. What is interesting to see also is that during our charcoal bag analysis we have done in Poland last month in May. So we have seen also in the charcoal bag when we were opening them that almost 60% of the samples were containing tempered wood, so mainly wood coming from local market and local production. What is interesting to see is that the import of charcoal is mainly coming from Ukraine. So 37% of import of Poland is coming from Ukraine. So a lot of tempered wood as well. And then from Namibia. So Namibia is also a key player for the Polish market. So just before going to Nigeria, sorry, a small conclusion for Poland. So we have high production and decreasing of import and export, but it's still important as a European level with 90,000 tons of exporting charcoal. So still need to have an eye open on that. And the subtropical charcoal on the Polish market coming from Namibia and Nigeria as well. So here also traceability is key. It's always the same message, but it's important to be able to understand where the charcoal is coming from. So now we can move to Nigeria, which is also a hot topic for us. For Nigeria, we have a high risk of deforestation. They have lost in 10 years about 2 million hectares, which is really important to keep in mind. Just to remind you, we had a ban in May 2016 on the charcoal export. So Nigeria was supposedly not able to export charcoal anymore. And the ban had been lifted in January 2023. So we will see on the figures it had a big impact. So keep in mind that for Nigeria, we have high risk of deforestation and illegal wood and also social issues. So when we have a look deeper to the figures for Nigeria, and we will take a minute to explain that. In red here you have the in gray, sorry, here you have the Nigeria volume of export. So what are the Nigeria levels do they publish as a data? So after the ban in 2016, so they have declared almost zero volume of exports. But when we see in red, this is the EU importing from Nigeria. So this is the volumes now we are considering are not zero at all. And we can see between 2022 and 2023 that it had increase between about 65,000 tons. So we have more and more Nigerian charcoal coming into the market of the EU market. What is interesting here, not only figures, but it's also interesting to understand that the transparency between what is exporting and what is really entering the market is not the reality. So we need to, so the Nigerian charcoal is entering the market, as I said, with deforestation risk, illegal logging risk, and social important risks. So we really need to have transparency on that to better understand, and we need to ask for the full traceability of this product. Great. Let's move to Spanish market. So Spanish market, as you know, we have Natalia Ote on the team now. So she is able since 2 years now to conduct action plan on the ground. So now our CTI, our website platform, had been translated to Spanish. So we are able to publish also Spanish information. We have conducted 2 bag analyses for the Spanish market, and we have also released one webinar last year to develop a bit the market, and we try to have better engagement with producers, importers, and retailers as well. So of course, if you have any link to this market, you can either contact Natalia or either contact us. We'd be more than happy to help on that. Natalia had done a great job, and will sustain it for the next months and years. So if we have a look on the Spanish market, what we can see is that we have a fluctuation for production and importation, as you can see on the tab, on the graph. Production remains stable with 60,000 tons of charcoal produced. Export has decreased about 30,000 tons, which is a quite high decrease volume, and imports have increased a lot, about 15,000 tons in 2023. So saying that, what is interesting to keep in mind that the imports of charcoal on Spain, it's coming from Cuba and Portugal. So Cuba represents 35% of the total amount of import from Spain. So Cuban charcoal is entering through Spain. And also, what is interesting, if we look at the 21% of Portugal charcoal, is that Portugal is also importing from Cuba. Portugal is not really producing, only 8,000 tons. But they import mainly from Cuba and from Nigeria. So it means that the mix of charcoal, Spanish charcoal importation are really coming from Cuba and Nigeria. And so if just before going to our next step as EF for the Spanish market, just for you to keep in mind, and what is really key to understand is that what is happening on Spain and Portugal is that they import a lot. So yes, they produce also, but they import a lot, and mainly from Cuba and Nigeria. So it's important to have transparency on that and traceability, because Cuba is a country where we don't have a good understanding of the production at the moment. We know that we can face social risk, environmental risk, but at the moment it's still hard to define. We know also that Cuba charcoal can be is a subtropical wood as well as in Namibia, so it's also hard to trace. To conclude with the Spanish market, for us at EF, so Natalia is going to develop more and more the market. So we're gonna focus on importation, of course, like I said, importation is key for this market to better understand. So of course, we are developing awareness and engagement around EUDR. It will help us also sustain our work on traceability and transparency. We work also at the production level with producer, and of course trying to develop our partnerships with retailers. So now we can move to Namibia. As you know, as you might know, Earthworm is working on Namibia since many years. We have we have developed good partnerships with importers there, and we have conducted many field visits to better understand the risk we faced in Namibia. Our next field visit is next week. So Johan will be on field during 2 weeks to conduct a field visit as well and to work with our partners there. And we will develop a transformative project on the ground with one member that trust and has confidence with our work. Also, what is new for us is that we conduct a transparent and supportive new approach. We are working on our methodology to make it more transparent and to help you also to better understand what we need to focus on when we want to have a responsible charcoal coming from Namibia. And everything is possible because we are super happy to have now Sabine on the team, as Johan introduced at the beginning of the webinar. So she will help us to work on the ground to sustain our approach and not to be only on field 2 weeks a year, but to really conduct a transformative approach, because it's really important for us. As you will see on the figures, because production in Namibia is increasing a lot in 2018, we have more and more production based in Namibia. So it's important also to be able, at the EF level, to understand and to help to manage social risk there. What is also interesting here is that Namibia is the world's largest exporter of charcoal. Even though we are still missing for Indonesian data, but at the moment with the data we have from UN Comtrade, is that Namibia is really the major player. So we have more than 200,000 tons, 320,000 tons produced in Namibia at the moment, which is why it's at EF we also involve in Namibia in this country. And the charcoal exports were slightly decreased by 30,000 tons from 2022 to 2023, but they still export about 60% of their volumes to EU. So a lot of Namibian charcoal is entering EU, as we said just before. Maybe last overview of Namibia before going to global trend conclusion. Namibia is a market that has really increased and stabilized in importance for EU. We can see also this trend in the bag analysis we have conducted for the German market. Traceability has to be ensured, of course, as I said before, but here to the farm and worker level, it's really important not to focus only on the packaging side, but really to go back on the beginning of the supply chain, because this is where we have faced social issues. So we need to have clarity on that. Really, this is what it's really interesting for us, and at the farmer level to have a better understanding on the social issues. Great. So let's conclude with the global trends. So my main message today will be that EU charcoal imports have doubled within the last 20 years. So as a reminder, 70% of the consumption of European charcoal is coming from imports. Even though in the 5 past years we have seen a small decline So the trends from for the last 20 years are big increasing, even though a small decrease from the 5 past years. Also, the production shows a small decrease from between 2022, 2023. We can explain that because of the wood prices and also mainly because of the wood prices and what is happening at the forest level as well. What is quite new since 2-3 years, it's also the increasing demand for industrial player. We are facing decarbonization era with green carbon topic increasing a lot. And also what is interesting to keep in mind that before it was Central and Northern charcoal trading countries. So Poland, Germany were really the doors that was opening the import of charcoal in EU. And now we can see that Portugal, Spain, Italy, Greece as well start to import a lot. So for us at Earthworm level, it's really interesting to keep an eye open on that because we want to see how this will develop in the future months and years. And of course, at the last word I want to share with you today is that traceability and transparency are key, not only for EUDR, but also to see what is happening and what is happening at the supply chain level, where the charcoal is coming from. So I hope everything was clear. I tried my best. It's a lot of information, but you will have everything on the presentation we will share with you. And I hope you will keep the main message in mind. I will give the mic to Johan that will explain the result from our bag analysis and the last word for conclusion.
Thanks, Camille. Thanks for this figure. It was quite clear on my side. Thank you for that. Yeah, I will shortly introduce you about the bag analysis. If you have the slide. Just for as a reminder, what is bag analysis? We go all over Europe in the retail stores, and we'll go there to pick up bags from any brands or any retailers, and we did that for the last 10 years. The idea there is to have the bag just in front of us and to read all around the bag the information and the declaration regarding the wood origin, the wood of the country of production, the labels or anything, any information regarding the sustainability. And then we do open the bag and we are able to analyze, because during the carbonization, the wood structure doesn't change that much, so we're still able to see if it's temperate or not, if it's tropical, subtropical or not, if it's oak or any kind of soft wood. This year we already conducted the German one, the Polish one, the French one. We still have to do the Spanish one this year, and we'll continue to do that. And I will present you the German, Polish, and the French one. I will go very fast. The first is about the declaration wood origin, and it is for France. And I am happy to say that over the 19 bags we analyzed, over 12, 13 retails and DIY stores, 73% of the bags declare the origin of the wood. So this is quite good, and it's good improvement comparing the last 10 years. But still, a few bags owners don't communicate at all about the communication. This is quite unbelievable so far. And sometimes with mixed charcoal inside, we have no information at all about the origin of the wood. This is still something happening in France. We need to continue to switch and move. Slide, please. For Germany, this is the same conclusion, that this is the biggest improve. So more than 60% of the bag talked about the origin of wood. This is quite good. And all over the bag we analyzed, it's important that the information from Namibia was present. It represents 29% of all the samples at Whiten, Namibia, as declared wood origin. Finally, let's talk about the wood declaration wood origin for the Polish market. As said Camille before, it's becoming huge and bigger regarding the own consumption of charcoal. So it's great to have this country with us. So second biggest year with for more than 50% of the wood origin is declared. We keep continue, we have a lot to do, but we also align that 55% of all analyzed samples are no indication of the origin of the product, because we need to define, for especially in Poland and any other country, the wood is coming from which country, but the production is coming from this country. But it's important to have all the information in the bag, both information in the bag. And I would say that for the production country, the regulation, another regulation is coming, and this will be a lot mandatory with the address and the way to communicate with the producer of the charcoal bag. Let's go now on the tropical, subtropical, temperate, or mixed wood species we may find in the bags when we open them. Let's start with the French market. Globally, regarding our analysis, the temperate one are still the huge one, over than 70%. And whereas there is still a mix between tropical and mixed. Mixed means we found temperate charcoal, and we also find subtropical charcoal or tropical charcoal. We cannot very be sure about that. So regarding this mixed sample, two things to say: that one brand declare that inside the bag we'll find both temperate and subtropical wood inside. This is okay, but two bags, none announce anything. So when I have a bag in front of me with nothing what in the bag, and I can see subtropical or mixed inside, for me it's a bit stressful. So we need to work on that. So we'll investigate on these two bags, and we'll probably do laboratory tests if this is not good enough. Slide, please. Regarding the Germany question, this is a big change. As we said before, it looks like Namibia is still becoming bigger and bigger. So this has an impact on the tropical, subtropical part of the wood we may find in the bags, whereas the temperate wood is decreasing a lot. This is quite okay, because most of the bag within the Namibia origin is declared and is traceable, so it's quite good. We are talking about 68% of all samples containing tropical or subtropical charcoal. In the riverside, on the Polish market, because the production and the consumption is coming from this region, the temperate part is the highest one. It's 60% of the wood we may find in the Polish bags found from the retail stores is from temperate, whereas the subtropical is just below 30%. Let's go now talking about the certification. You all know that Earthworm has a clear position regarding certification. We believe that this is the major first step to go into sustainability, social and environmental question. This is not enough, and we cannot just say that this is FSC, this is good, we are good, but still we strongly believe that in many countries having this certification, it's a big major step. So please continue to ask and to work with this kind of certification, but never be blind about the reality on the floor. Just for, globally for the French market, just one slide before, we saw that the PEFC is becoming bigger and bigger, because mainly we found in the French retailers charcoal coming from France. So basically this one is mainly PEFC instead of FSC. This explain what PEFC is the big part. And globally we saw that the non-certification wood is going lower and lower year to year. Let's talk about Germany now. We stated before, Germany is mainly from big part of the German charcoal consumed in Germany come from Namibia, where FSC is the major brand. Thanks again for just consuming FSC charcoal. This is very good. This is the major step. So the FSC represents 74% of the all charcoal consumed in Germany regarding the retail stores. It's moving a bit in Poland, step by step, but no big changes. Of course, as explained Camille, the question of FSC, PEFC question regarding the regions issue won't help to have that So we are going slowly just to only 27% of FSC wood in the charcoal consumed in the Polish market. At the conclusion, or not just before the conclusion, we did compare for Germany the buy coming from the retail store to the DIY stores regarding the declaration of wood of origin. And regarding this question, yeah, the retail store looks to be about in advance regarding the declaration of wood than the DIY store. It's only 40% of the buy where we can have some declaration about this. Regarding the level of certification, this is quite similar. Either you buy from the retailer or from the DIY, the certification level will be more than 60%, almost 80, sorry. I have a summary before the global conclusion for the charcoal bag analysis that for the French market, the proportion of undeclared wood origin has decreased is quite good, but we have a mix of tropical and subtemperate samples where sometimes no information at all. This has to be changed. Certification is still good with PFC at the bigger player. The declaration on production and wood specialisms is increasing in Germany, 68%, and 28% of all samples are from Namibia. The certification is still increasing. This is quite good, and FSC is the biggest one. And the share of tropical subtropical, because it's from Namibia, still a big place. For Poland, the other way, the level of declaration is increased a bit, but not enough, 27%. And the share of temperate, the temperate is the biggest one. I will go deep and fast into the conclusion to be sure that we have at least 10 minutes for the questions. Yes, the European market is quite mature. Being there together today is the proof of that. But not all the countries are like that. That the French, German, it's okay, we work a lot. The Polish is just starting, the Spanish market is just starting. But globally, roughly, the European charcoal industry can reduce and work on this importation to be sure we are all fighting deforestation. We are all fighting CO2 and gas emission with good processes, with low carbon emission and efficient technology. This is the key for the next decade we all have to work on, and it could be done just all together. The things are changing. The European Commission, as a leader, has asked for many and better traceability and no deforestation at all. Charcoal is no part of it, and we all have to do it together. And it's more about the way we will do it than just a mandatory regulation. What we want to achieve with this new regulation and what do we want for the EU consumption of charcoal. Because when I looked, after 12 years of work regarding earthworm, for about the 4 countries, the biggest one, more than 60%, the charcoal consumed in Europe comes from Ukraine, from Namibia, from Cuba, and from Nigeria again. In each country, we have good issues, but we have also very bad issues. The situation is not good. It's surprising me that we are still buying from countries where the social condition or the forest condition is not, we don't take care of that. We still have a lot to do. Hopefully we'll do it with EUDR. I'm not saying that everything is bad. For Namibia and Cuba, we have good questions about the bush. From Ukraine, we need to support them. And Nigeria, this is a huge question we have to resolve. Of course, major change with the conflict, the Russian, the Ukrainian question, with huge decrease of the wood, but another country will take the place. Are we sure that the situation is good for sustainability? I'm not that sure. Hopefully, in the coming months, we'll be able to go and see and to provide data to you about the Latin American charcoal production. What is going on over there? We need to continue our increase of product declaration. We need to communicate. We need to be clear and transparent if we want to solve step after step the situation of charcoal in Europe. We used to, and we'll do it again, just to continue about recommendation, what we expect from you, what we ask from you in your day-to-day job, whether you are from the retail or you are from the industry part. We please industrial continue to promote, to invest, and to support. We will do our best about technology, good processes, traceability of the procurement, to be sure that the carbon footprint will be slowing, decreasing. This is a major question. The carbon sequestration is key, as I said at the beginning. We are here. If you need anything regarding the EUDR, we already started with few of you, most of you. We can continue. We can go before December 2024, but of course we can do it later. You guys on the charcoal player, because you work with us for years, you are able to trace back the wood, where the woods come from, because you studied the traceability 10 years ago. Please continue. You have the last step to do to be sure that you can provide GPS coordinates to you as a key first question regarding the new regulation. And I know you're able to do it. I know many countries in Africa, they are very good, like Namibia, for example, on traceability to go back to the farm. This is quite good. So this is something we have to continue to work on. As a retailer and a back owners, please continue to inform the final consumer about the origin of the wood, the origin of the country, the production site location. Please communicate. We need transparency. And finally, at the final conclusion, we will continue to work day after day. Sometimes it's hard, but we'll continue to have a global and action, a together action with you members and partners. And we will go because the challenges are coming and we are okay to face together these challenges. Thanks. This is the time for question. We have 10 minutes left. So please, if you have any, I will just stop the record. And then anyone may add the question you want. I believe you can turn on your microphone, but if you can, please let me know.